Honor and glory be to the Heavenly Father and His Son, Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the Great Millstone. Shalawam to the Lord, so for elect. All right, where we just came in, those names at the beginning, that's the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit in the Paleo Hebrew, Lashawan Kadash. Yahawah equals He is, He exists. That's the Father's true name. Yahawashi equals He saves, He delivers, He is salvation. That's the Son's true name. And then Rakah Kadash equals a spirit that's holy, a spirit that's set apart. Right? Get that through you. Understand that. Okay. We break it down every lesson. It's not Jesus, it's not Yahweh, it's not Yeshua, it's not all those other different names, man. You know what I'm saying? We at the end, man. Okay. You gotta get it in. Research, study, grow, learn. We gotta go. Now we at it. We are at it, man. We are at it. It's like the needle just hit the record and it began to spin, man. When we get into that part where everybody like, yo, that's my part. And this is that part. Okay? Iran was struck by U.S. and Israel, and Iran struck back. Okay? Now, that right there, which if China and Russia is about what they say, that's gonna bring them into play. And it's also gonna bring the scriptures, most definitely the prophecies, into play. Let's get one real quick, because via Ezekiel 38, all right, Russia got to stand up and rock with them. This is Ezekiel 38 and 4. This is talking about Russia. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and will bring thee forth, and thine army, horses and horsemen, all them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Persia, the Persians, or Iran, right? They're the modern day Persians. They're in that land. Okay, so and they know it. They know they're those people too. They know their culture and their customs and things of that nature. So they already know, man. So we expect to see Russia, all right, rock up with them, because they're supposed to be joined together, and all these other nations, these Hamitic nations, where we already see the BRICS nations and all this stuff is already aligned with one another economically. So they're gonna militarily, they have alliances as well. I know Russia has one with Iran and North Korea, and Iran also has I believe some military ties with China as well. So verse 6, Gomer and all his bands, which is the Turkish people, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee, many other nations, is going to join into this affair, which is going on. Now, this thing has been going on year after year after year, but it's going to get to a point where, that right there is going to fall back, and WW3 is going to commence. It ain't no more talking, there ain't no more rumors. These are the rumors of wars and wars, but it's just going to be on scale, all out war. Let's go. Right? Now, what comes with a war? This lesson is entitled The Effects of War. What comes with a war? Draft. What also comes with a war? Prices going up. Right? Economic war comes with a war. So what I got on the screen is, what if Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz? And that's what's actually taking place right now. There's an article right here. Iran moves to close the Strait of Hormuz after strikes. So this right here is gonna run prices up out the sky, because this is one of the world's largest major straits, where everything is processed through. Okay, let's read a little bit of this. Dubai, Iran has moved to close the Strait of Hormuz, with ships in the Gulf receiving high-frequency radio broadcasts from Iran's Revolutionary Guards, warning that vessels would not be permitted to pass through the strategic waterway. So via this war, everybody is going to be affected. All right? Because this is what Iran has to their advantage. This is one of the cards that they hold in their hand, man. It's like you're playing poker, right? Or whatever. When they throw this one down, everybody in the planet is affected. Okay? The strait located in the Arabian Gulf is vital to U.S. allies and global energy markets, and has come into sharp focus after the United States and Israel carried out missile strikes on Iran today, on Saturday. Right? So, DJT and Net Not a Jew, they knew this was going to happen, right? Where he always, the supreme ruler of Iran, whatever, I forgot his name, right? But he always, danced around closing it straight. Okay. Iran sits on the northern shore of the Strait of Hormuz and controls key approaches to the channel, giving Tehran significant influence over a route through which much of its own oil exports and a large share of global energy supplies flow. Okay. About 20% of the world's oil consumption passes through the strait, making it one of the most critical arteries for global energy trade. All right. Let's see anything else on that. Nah, it's pretty much what happened. Okay. And hey, brothers is doing, massive videos on this. This is what it is. I want to go into this video. And hey, it's for educational purposes. All right. So I should be good. Let's go.
Again, and this time oil prices are on the rise again, and this time it's not just another market fluctuation. According to some reports circulating online, Iran might be planning to close the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most important shipping lanes in the world, and impose a 30% tariff on every ship passing through. If this really happens, we could be looking at one of the biggest disruptions to global energy markets in recent years. To understand how serious this is, let's take a step back. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow stretch of water between Iran and Oman. It's only about 21 miles wide at its narrowest point, but it's one of the busiest oil transit routes on Earth. Around 1/5 of the world's oil supply moves through this narrow channel every single day. That's millions of barrels of crude oil traveling from the Middle East to countries like China, Japan, India, and even the United States. So if Iran really decides to close or restrict this strait, even for a short period, the impact would be immediate. Oil prices could skyrocket overnight. The figure being discussed, $100 per barrel, might just be the beginning. Historically, any tension around the Strait of Hormuz has always caused a spike in oil prices. Markets react quickly because traders know how dependent global supply is on that small but vital passage. Now, why would Iran do this? There could be several reasons. One possibility is economic pressure. Iran has long been under heavy international sanctions, mainly from the US, which limit its ability to sell oil freely. By threatening to close the strait, Iran might be trying to gain leverage, to push back against sanctions, to negotiate better terms, or simply to remind the world of its strategic importance.
All right, and we know why they're closing it right now, because of war. All right, because of war. Now let's go back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. Verse 7, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company. So Russia and all the nations that are gathered with them, all right, that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. This is why we understand that Russia will get involved. Okay? And who is Russia aligned with? China, North Korea. The stage has been set of who's rocking with who. In World War II, you had the Allies and the Axis, right? They were all strategically, economical friends. If you're economic friend, your business partner, because that's what you are, you're a business partner with that individual, then what are you going to do? You're going to support that individual when his business gets attacked, right? So this is why BRICS Nation is going to rock together, and NATO is going to rock together. All right? Hey, Shalawam, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Barak, Ahtham, you brothers in the comment board. All right? So Russia is going to be a guard unto them. All right? Now, let's take it from there, and let's go to 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter, and I'll start at verse 26. For Yahawah knoweth all them that sin against him, and therefore delivereth he them unto death and destruction. For now are the plagues come upon the whole earth, and ye shall remain in them, for power shall not deliver you, because you have sinned against him. What's done in the dark shall come to the light, man. Okay, we know in let's go to Ecclesiastes 12, starting at verse 13. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear Yahawah and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. Right? That's your purpose on this planet. To fear Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, keep the commandments. This is the whole duty of man. Right? In those commandments, you are told to what? To bid them to the marriage, to cry out and tell people of their sins, to speak, to prophesy, right? To live righteous, to love one another. These are certain commandments. Verse 14, for power shall bring every work into judgment with every secret thing, whether it be good or whether it be evil. So this devil, Esau, Edom, which you got two devils, they're the same nation though, just different tribes, the U.S. and Israel, right? They're coming and attacking these individuals, and hey, they've been a bully on the earth, man, the whole time. Ever since the 1948ers came into the land, they've been what? They've been causing chaos and war in the land. All right? Everybody in that land could speak on it. Right? So this devil is going to get judged. We just got to sit back and wait, patience. That's a key thing in this thing, man. We got to sit back and wait. So this is verse 28. Behold, an horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east. Right? From the east. Now, everybody calls it the Middle East, but it's really just Asia. It's just Asia continued. It's also, that's all it is. Okay, there's no such thing as a Middle East. Verse 29, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots, and the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon earth, that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. So these nations in that land are going to begin to fight. So certain people like, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Saudi Arabia, right? The Ishmaelites, the dragons of Arabia, okay? They're going to rise up and they're going to fight. Now they're going to be joined, as we know, with these other individuals. You have sides being formed. Also, the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood, and with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Now, the Carmanians are what? Those are the Persians. You can look that word up. The Carmanians were a fierce, warlike people from the ancient Persia province of Carmania, modern-day Kaman, Iran, located north of the Persian Gulf. Okay? So, these nations, which once they were what? They were once small and weak, as the scripture speaks of, but now they're rising up. What has Iran been trying to produce for decades? Nuclear weapons, and what has America been doing to them? They've been attacking their nuclear facilities, right? And Trump came out of his mouth and said, no, you will not be able to get nuclear weapons. You can't, what is it? What do they do to the uranium? Something to the uranium that they do to make it to the like, condition that they needed to make nuclear missiles. Because that uranium is like, it's and certain other substances, like, they need it, and it can withstand the missile speed and all of that. So uranium is a major part of nuclear weapons, missiles. That's why certain places like Haiti and Chile and Hawaii and all these other places is getting took over and attacked, or natural disasters are happening, and then the government is moving in because of the resources in that land, right? And also CHIPs, semiconductors, are needed to make nukes. Because every nuke is going to have a chip in it, right? That's how the nuke knows how to maneuver when you got air defenses that are coming to attack. But the missile knows how to move because it's got AI. AI is a major component of WW3. You know, these are the effects of war. The effects of war is to build your AI, your artificial intelligence, and to build your resources. So your resource gathering. This is why a country like Venezuela would be took over, right, for resources. This is why a country like Greenland is a target to be took over because of resources and strategic position. You know, so these are the effects of war. This is the effects of these type of things. Price gouging, right? Straits being closed, economic turmoil. You know, these are the types of things that's happening because of war. So what are we going to see? What are the effects we're going to see? We're going to see when oil goes up, everything else goes up because to transport these goods, you know, it's going to go up, man. Hey, I've been working in logistics for over what, 14 years now, like, you know, and it costs to move stuff around. You know, let's let this go some more.
Another reason could be political signaling, showing strength to its neighbors and sending a message to Western countries not to underestimate its regional influence. But let's be real. Closing the Strait of Hormuz is not a simple move. It would be seen as an act of aggression by many nations, especially those whose economies depend heavily on the oil that flows through there. The U.S. Navy and other international forces constantly patrol that area for a reason. They want to ensure that global shipping lanes stay open and safe.
And it's also what? It's also an act to force China, Russia, and these other nations to get involved because you're shutting them out from getting oil. So you're rising the prices in their country. So that it's like a desperation move. It's like, yo, I need y'all help. I'm not going to give you this unless y'all help me. So let me shut this down so y'all are forced to help me because this is going to affect you. You know? Now let's go back to that second Esdras 15. And waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. In that caption, the Assyrians would be considered America. All right, America has been, you know, Babylon, Edom, in the scriptures many times has been compared to the Assyrians. Okay, because we know the ancient Assyrians, they don't have a massive empire like they used to. You know, verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, remembering their nation, remembering their nature, remembering their old ways. Look at Russia. They're remembering that Soviet Union spirit. Iran is back in that you know, that older spirit that they used to be in. And they actually have the ability with allies to maybe get down. These nations that were small and weak are now rising up, and they used to get bullied by America. They now saying, what's good? I'm ready. I've been hitting the gym. I'm ready to fight with you now. You know, this is the mindset of many different countries because they have the backing of a so-called superpower, which is China and Russia, right? All right, so let's keep it going in that. Let's read that again. 31, second Esdras 15. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature. And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then these shall be troubled, bled, and kept silence through their power, and shall flee. And from the land of the Assyrians shall the enemy besiege them and consume some of them. And in their host shall be fear and dread and strife among their kings. Behold, clouds from the east and from the north unto the south, and they are very horrible to look upon, full of wrath and storm. They shall smite one upon another, and they shall smite down a great multitude of stars upon the earth, even their own star, and blood shall be from the sword unto the belly, and dung of men unto the camel's hoof. and there shall be great fearfulness and trembling upon earth, and they that see the wrath shall be afraid, and trembling shall come upon them. This is what we praying for. All right, WW3 to come upon these lands. Okay, ultimate warfare, and in war, the effects of war is death. All right, it's losing a lot of individuals. You're gonna see, you might have cousins get drafted. Okay, a lot of people being drafted, women being drafted, because they so independent and mighty and strong. Okay, so hey, go ahead, go fight. Right, you're on the level of a man. Well, go ahead, go fight men. Okay, so this is what's gonna happen, man. So hey, let's get that Isaiah 3, because the effects of war is a draft. This is Isaiah 3. I'll start at 24. And it shall come to pass that instead of a sweet smell, there should be stink, and instead of a girdle, a rent, and instead of well-set hair, baldness, and instead of a stomach, a girding of sackcloth, and burning instead of beauty. This is a curse that's upon the Israelite woman, and particularly a Judite woman, a so-called black woman, right? Where her hair doesn't grow, her pH balance is off. She doesn't know how to take care of her body, these type of things, man, right? Verse 25, thy men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. Okay? Because of what? A draft. Your men shall fall by the sword, and thy mighty in the war. And also a civil war, a purge. At this same time where tensions is rising in Asia between the Persians and, America, the Edom, right? Where you also have tensions rising over here. So you get what? You get order out of chaos, as the Masons try to bring. This is what they're bringing. So you got two wars, major wars brewing. A civil war in this country and WW3, right? Edom is going to be forced. How Rome was forced, because it's the same thing. How Rome was forced to fight off individuals outside, because that's the problem with Rome. They kept wanting to conquer and conquer and conquer. So they kept fighting wars. They kept going forth and taking over this place and taking over this place. It got to the point where they couldn't control all of it. So therefore they started losing. And then you had a civil war inside of Rome. Doesn't that sound like America? America wants to rule over everybody. You got bases here, you got bases there. You trying to tell Iran what to do, what they can't do. You telling Venezuela what they could do, what they can't do. So it's the similar condition of what happened to Rome, right? And Rome fell from the inside out. So that's what we're seeing. Verse 26, and her gates shall lament and mourn, and she being desolate shall sit upon the ground. A lot of you women, you're going to lose that man, that worldly man that you was with. Okay? You're gonna be put into a very desperate situation. When we're looking at Isaiah 4:1, it's talking about these women are going to be extremely desperate, right? And they're gonna have to face the fact that the men of Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi are those men. These are the men. They may not look how in a worldly state how you wanted them to look. They don't got the fresh cut, a pocket full of money, weed and all that bullshit of the world. They don't got all of that, but they got this truth, which is more valuable than anything. It's the greatest gift that a man could receive, man. Verse 4, chapter 4 and verse 1. And in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, a complete number of women, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name to take away our reproach. Only let us be married, be joined to you, to take away our reproach. Because what's going on? Because WW3 is going on. The effects of war is going on. All right. Prices are out of control. Okay. Then you got a purge, civil war, lawlessness going on in our country. Okay. I'm walking outside. I saw a video one of the elders out here did about what's going on in Mexico. They said they can't even walk outside because people is getting stabbed, shot, all of that. Okay. So that's how it's going to be in America. But you would think, because this is the comfortability of Americans, man. If you've never been to a third world country, well, I've seen it personally, man. I seen the jungles of damn Philippines where you got people living in tents, people living in huts built off of like wood and holes in the roof, rain coming in. You know, they out there on the streets selling their body. They trying to sell their kids. All this type of stuff happening in third world countries. That's what's coming to America, man. To be honest, man, America, it's too damn, it's comfortable here. Okay, I don't care. It's comfortable here. You can go to the store. You could walk to the store, you know, and you're safe. You have that comfortability. That's gonna be took away. This place is gonna be like those third world countries for real, when Yahawah appoints it, when he brings it down. So you're gonna have a war over here, and you're gonna have a war over there. And think of how bad that's gonna be for an individual that's shipped off to the so-called Middle East, and he's hearing about how bad it is back in America. You know, you're like, damn, I wonder if my people safe. No, they're not gonna be safe. The only way you're gonna be safe is with Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, man. All right, let's get some of these articles and I'm gonna wrap it up. So, U.S.-Israel war on Iran escalates. UAE intercepts missiles. 1 killed. Regional airspace is closed. Right? U.S. and Israel attack. Iran struck back. And this is going to continue. You know, the United States and Israel have launched attacks on Iran, with President DJT confirming major combat operations and calling for regime change. Reported targets include the office of Iran's supreme leader, the presidential office in Tehran, and military sites nationwide. Iranian state media reported that at least 53 people were killed at a girls' school. That's cold. In retaliation, you know, it's like, yo, attack a military site. Why you attacking schools? But that's how Israel get down. That's how America get down. You attacking civilians, man. You know, they have ain't nobody died innocent. But it's like, yo, you at war. Attack somebody that's actually in the battle. You know, but these damn devils, they don't care. In retaliation, Iran has launched strikes on Israel, while damage linked to Iranian attacks have been reported across the Gulf region. And this is what you see as these attacks always happen. Whoever getting attacked, when it's on Edom's side, they always use propaganda, and where it wasn't really no attack, it wasn't really no damage. Yes, it was. And we seeing the damage from social media. We seeing the damage from people that's recording it off their phones. We seeing the missiles go boom here and there and here and there. So we know it's damage, but you telling us it's no damage. That means you a damn devil when you been lying the whole time. All right, that's all they do. So I don't take nothing that these damn devils are saying it ain't no damage. Reported across the Gulf region, including Qatar, the UAE, and Kuwait. Explosions in UAE, Bahrain, and Qatar. This is where the U.S. has bases. So this is why these nations is getting hit. Have prompted authorities to suspend all flights to and from Dubai airports. That's another effect of war. No more travel. You can't go into this land. 15? Let's get that. You can't just travel into this land. You can't just, ain't no more spirit of myrrh. You can't just move around how you want to move around. You women that were flying to Dubai to get shitted on, that's over. All right, no more getting shitted on. You understand? I'm sorry. You can't get shitted on no more, man. All right, this is verse 17. A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of the pride of the cities shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid all over the planet. All right, travel is going to be shut down. Okay, so read that again. All flights to and from Dubai airports, with officials closely monitoring the situation. Trump also urged Iranians to take over their government. He's calling for a coup d'etat. He want rebellion, as he always. This is what America's MO is. They come into your country, they put insurgents in your country, and they try to take over your country. They get the civilians to take. This is CIA 101, man. Just watch any good CIA movie. Watch Snowfall. Watch how they was doing it with them. Watch what's another good one, man? There's plenty of them out there where they just come in your country and they take over. All right. Calling it your only chance for generations. Stay updated on Israel strikes on Iran and the unfolding regional state of emergency. And this also opens up, keep this in mind, because America's, these Edomites is liars. This also opens up T attacks. Okay? They could do a T attack over here and blame it on Iran for propaganda, the same way they did 9/11. The same way and then they went and they got to justify it. Let's justify. The way that Trump was saying that he lied and said like 30,000 people was unalived in the protest. When you really look up the numbers, it's only like 3,000 was took out in the protest. But he exaggerates, he's doing hyperbole, really. So he's exaggerating the numbers to justify the attack. Right? He paints that leader as an extreme villain when he's the villain. This is a manipulation tactic. Let me see. The other articles was pretty much saying the same thing. You know what I'm saying? IDF says 200 fighter jets have completed attacks in Iran. Who gave Israel all them jets? Who's been funding Israel's military? U.S. So these are what you've been seeing is proxy wars. Israel has been fighting. Yeah, they're a smaller country, but U.S. is funding them, so it's a proxy. It's like telling your little brother to go fight this person because you don't handle my lightweight, as they say. All right. So these are proxies. When the bigger countries, Russia and U.S., are eventually gonna fight, but right now you got the little boys in there fighting. Okay. I'll pretty much wrap it up right there. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney voices support for U.S. after strikes. Oh, but you was just aligned with Jinping in China. Y'all be they be switching sides like a mother. So it's a lot about to come out of this, man. But if you ain't think the economy and inflation and all that was bad now, it's gonna get worse with the Straits of Hormuz being closed. Okay. So this is gonna have major economic effects, right? And I would expect a propaganda T attack to come through this, because it's, as a devil, how they move, why wouldn't you do a T attack and blame it on your enemy to furthermore justify your enemy? It just makes sense, man. They're open, all right? Oh, I got a video from Trump. Let's play this.
A short time ago, the United States military began major combat operations in Iran. Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime, a vicious group of very hard, terrible people. Its menacing activities directly endanger the United States, our troops, our bases overseas, and our allies throughout the world. For 47 years, the Iranian regime has chanted death to America and waged an unending campaign of bloodshed and mass murder, targeting the United States, our troops, and the innocent people in many, many countries. Among the regime's very first acts was to back a violent takeover of the U.S. Embassy in Tehran, holding dozens of American hostages for 444 days. In 1983, Iran's proxies carried out the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut that killed 241 American military personnel. In 2000, they knew and were probably involved with the attack on the USS Cole. Many died. Iranian forces killed and maimed hundreds of American service members in Iraq. The regime's proxies have continued to launch countless attacks against American forces stationed in the Middle East in recent years, as well as U.S. naval and commercial vessels and international shipping lanes. It's been mass terror, and we're not going to put up with it any longer.
Oh man, like I said, you got to justify these guys before you go in and take them over, man. All right, you got to paint them as, what did they paint Venezuela? They painted them as drug traffickers. All right, so it's the same recipe. Justify so you can take them over, you know, because they need to be put down. That's what these Edomites are saying, right? Let me see. Anything else on this? He talked about violence. I looked it up. The history of violence between the U.S. and Iran spans over 7 decades, marked by CIA-backed coups, okay? Hostage crisis, direct military engagement, and proxy warfare. Key events include the 1953 overthrow of Prime Minister Mossadegh, okay? So that situation he's talking about in 1983, y'all attacked first. Y'all been messing with them, you know? So, I mean, hey, you punch a person and you expect them not to hit back, right? America has been nothing but a bully upon this earth, man. Let's end it with we can end it with Habakkuk. That's becoming my go-to, because that's what these devils is, man. This is Habakkuk 2 and 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. We live by faith. We holding on. We keeping our patience. And Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi. We you know what I'm saying? Faith and works. All right. So we crying out because this damn devil, he's trying to touch us, grape us, all of that. So you're supposed to cry out. I'm not consenting to this system that you're trying to put up on us. And we want our king to come back. We know who we belong to, right? Yasharahla, man. He Prince of the Power. We belong to something far greater than a weak-ass American system, man. All right? So we're going to live by faith and that our king is coming back. Verse 5, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, philosophy, right? So as he moves into Venezuela, he sets up a puppet government. As he look at Mexico, you got a small hat. That female, she's a small hat. You know, that's a puppet regime. That's a puppet government. That's not a real Mexican. That's not a real Issacharite. All right, that's controlled. You know, so, and furthermore, it's controlled opposition. Anything that she does against the U.S., it's part of the script. Oh, play your role. She's really an actress. These politicians are more actors and actresses versus actually real politicians. They're not trying to get nothing done, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Shalawam, Bahasham, Barak, Ahtham. All right. So, yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as deaf, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. What we seeing, though, is these nations are not taking your bullshit. What's her name? Kamala Harris, a couple years ago, she got ran out of, I believe it was Nigeria, where she came over there and she tried to bring that alphabet environment to them people. Like, you come to a country and you telling them, yeah, I believe your men should start laying with your men and your women should start, like, what? And they ran her ass out of the country, man. And now over there and in many different African Hamitic nations, it's you get punished by death, man. Okay, they ain't playing with that shit, or you get jail time. So these other nations is going against that wine that this devil is trying to push, the wine of Babylon. They're not with that. All right, keeping it going. Verse 6, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe to him, destruction to him that increaseth that which is not his, how long, and to him that laddeth himself with thick clay. He's trying to take over, because this is what it's going to ultimately end up being. But we understand Russia, China, these other nations going to step in. But if Esau had it his way, he would take over Iran, you know, take out the supreme leader and set up a puppet regime in that area so he could rule in that area through a puppet government. All right. Verse 7. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them, because thou hast spoiled many nations. We just read in 2nd Esdras, the 15th chapter. Okay, the dragons of Arabia is going to rise up. They're going to remember their nature. The Carmenians are going to rise up. All right, these nations are gonna rise up, and they're gonna be, they tired of it, bro. You know, they coming, and they coming for blood. Because thou hast spoiled many nations. You robbed every single nation that you ever, you know, stepped your foot in. Let's be honest. Anywhere that this devil steps foot in, he robs, steals, and takes resources. You know, that's what he does. All right. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveteth an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil. Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and hast sinned against thy soul. Right? You know, I'm gonna end it right there, but that's what this devil does, man. Okay, he is the top, and that's why in Isaiah 14, you know, it speaks of the kings of the nations is gonna look at him and be like, is this he who did weaken the nations? Everybody on this planet is going to hate this damn devil. Okay? In the kingdom, they're going to know who he is. And even before then, they shall hate the whore, Revelation 17 and 16. So they're going to know who he is. The Esau is being made bare. They're recognizing who he is. Who is the reason why violence is running rampant on the earth? Who is the reason why chemicals are rampant in the food? You know? All this type of stuff. Why is death consistent? Right? Why is, you know, it's just terrible, man. Mass shootings. You got mass shootings every day. It ain't on the news like that, but you do have them. All right? But that's because the vibration that this man is pushing out. Okay? It's bullshit coming out of his speaker, and it got to be stopped. It got to be shut down. You know, we can't, we tired of listening to the song that Esau is singing. That's why we sing the song of Moses, man. All right. So, hey, with that being said, giving all praises, honor, and glory be to Yahawah, Bahasham, Yahawashi, Bahasham, Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and bishops of the great millstone. Shalawam to the Lord's hopeful elect. As always, Kwam Yasharahla and a Baba Ball. All right. Pray this was edifying. All right. If you can't see the light, you're living in darkness. Shalawam.